Hello people. More character stuff today, no shooting or killing. Probably been enough of that already for one book, but that's, you know how it is. Arlen didn't know how Telga acted before her unfortunate injury. She seemed reserved and quiet. Well, she seemed reserved by nature, and not particularly lively in her movements. She was not like a posed corpse when I first met her, but she didn't move much. And spent most of that brief sitting in some big chair. Her voice was calm and didn't sound pained. Arlen didn't get the sense that she was in pain, but he had a feeling she was. At the brief, Telga was in full. Telga. I hope I don't call her Telga by accident. Telga is the other guy. Telga was in full darkness attire, mostly in black. With the main color being those chemical packs of hers. She shook Arlen's hand when he came to the briefing room, which was a large library-like room with a projector and a projector screen to the rear, neither of which were needed to brief the docs. Arlen's file at the brief. The intel at the brief. With a fat dossier at the brief loaded with pictures and maps. And maps that Arlen studied instead. Studied in lieu of. In lieu? Is that how you say it? In lieu of? I guess we'll check later. In lieu of. Fat dossier. Instead of looking at some projector screen. I'm not in the groove yet. My fingers are tingling. Hope that's the weather and not first signs of frickin' rheumatoid arthritis. Let's see. Let's see. Telga sat down adjacent to Arlen and the briefer and the person doing the briefing, General Bentley, an old SOE operative, before there was such a thing, before there wasn't SOE. He was a senior. I have to check first mention SOE in Rogue. He was a senior. He was a young, handsome officer, though he looked a bit older than he actually was, thanks to his mustache. seem to add 20 years. He had slicked back black hair, none of which was gray. Alan suspected a dye job. "I have a confession," said General Bentley. "I dye my hair." "You're not natural black?" Let's see. Bentley had been a good infiltrator, and he was a world-class Shakespearean actor. Shakespearean. Is that how you spell Shakespearean? You learn to appreciate Shakespeare more when you become a writer. Before I became a writer, I didn't think he was that much, but you know. Now he's like, it's like I'm just some lab assistant, and he's Einstein or something. Like, that's what you'd compare it to, I guess. It's kind of a shame. I don't think there's room for any more people to become famous writers on Shakespeare's level. I mean, it seems like academia has picked out all its classic writers now, from now till the end of time, probably. The youngest guy on the list is probably Hemingway. He died he died not too long after World War II, I think. I'm not sure how long, but he didn't. You know, he's pretty famous for fighting in the Spanish Civil War, being there on the ground in World War II. Nobody else will probably ever get. No other writer will probably ever get to brush against history like he had the chance to. Let's see. He was retired from field work because he was, for a variety of reasons, he was not, let's say, retired. General Bentley, what's his last name? First name. Bentley. I got a page of notes already. Haven't even gotten through 2 paragraphs of this story yet. He was retired from field work, right? It wasn't because he was crippled, both in the field or otherwise maimed. He was found to be a brilliant spy master and commando master, and a master of the commando raid after the Jade War. The Jade War claimed a lot of the first year of the Jade War claimed a lot of brilliant minds. And a lot of brilliant minds in the Chromish intelligence circuit. And Bentley was one of the few left alive. And he was a major at the start of the Jade War, promoted to general 3 years into it. As 2 citizens of Chromish Empire, Bentley let Arlen and Telga digest their files. The files were a bit for speaking up. The brief note earlier. Weeks earlier, at the brief, local time 8:30 p.m. We're speaking up. striking at, or going back home? Home to do something important. Comrades. My comrades, Bentley said. The docks of Liverpool must be demolished. Must be put out of commission. Commission is a stepping stone to realizing our dream of liberating dear Chromia from foreign oppression. May it never again end up dominated by a foreign threat. Agreed, sir. Arlen noted. Arlen thought Telga would agree. She looked over to Arlen and Bentley. I'm a bit of an internationalist, gentlemen, Telga noted. Someday, Chromia and all the other states of Europe will be one, like the United States. Sounds kind of like the dream of old Gazer. Bentley mused. Not at all, Telga replied. Instead of being yeah, I'm pretty sure ideas about internationalism and globalism were around long before World War II ended. I kind of started picking up steam after the end of the Cold War. When there was no more big enemy, everyone was saying, hey, let's have a new world order. Make everybody interconnected more so. Of course, everyone was already interconnected even before World War II, but I guess when everyone's making money from one another, it helps prevent another big war from breaking out in Europe. The last big war in real life, in case you guys don't know, was the Yugoslav wars of the 90s, with the last one ending in 2001, I think. You know, Yugoslavia. It was once one country, and now it's like 30. Yeah. Definitely a complicated war. Anyway, it's not a war for a beginner to write about. You'd probably be better off with a simpler war to start, like the Great War or World War II. Instead of being a dictatorship, it would be a great democracy with a League of UN-like body governing everything. All elected, all nice and neat. I think the real life European Union isn't quite there. I think you can't vote directly for the people, which is probably a major thing against it. I'm not an expert on the EU. Now, obviously, it's kind of a faraway concern. I mean, it's organized in Brussels, isn't it? Belgium, yeah. The Belgians. Those are the people you want ruling the world. No. I trust him to make waffles, that's it. Waffles and clogs. Or are those the Dutch? Yes, the Dutch make the clogs. Who made the cuckoo clock? I'm pretty sure it was the Swiss. What's that old joke about and all the things that Germany invented after all these bloody wars and versus the invention of Switzerland, who was at peace for 1,000 years? The cuckoo clock. Let's see. Maybe someday. Bentley muttered. I don't think people are ready to accept such ideas. I'm sure it'll be the reality in my lifetime. Telga suggested. Prophesized. It depends how far. Depends how quickly equilindism is ended. Is defeated as a threat. I don't think a European Union could exist. In competition with the equilindist bloc. A military bloc. I'm a military bloc of all the Western xenocratic nations together. Alan said, I'm in favor of that. Of that all the way. I suppose he was making it sound like NATO was not a thing. NATO was in existence. Just a second, folks. Hello, folks, I'm back. Yeah. So, I think about globalism a lot, and one story I haven't published yet. I had, like, a lot of stuff about the debate about globalism. All the stuff that you see today, like, immigration, crime, mass migration of people, all those kind of things. It's the most interesting political topic of our time. Though I think a lot of people, to criticize it, they think that that's prejudice. I'm not sure. They act like globalism is a humanitarian thing, but there's a lot of, like, I'm sure at the end it's mostly for money. Because they said something like there would be trillions more dollars if you got rid of all the borders in the world. And, yeah, that's probably true. So if people are really out for trillions of dollars, they shouldn't act like it's all humanitarian. Like, let's see, what else was I thinking about globalism? Yeah, I don't think humanity is evolved enough yet to have, like, one, just a whole united planet government. Yeah, I think we're about 200 or 300 years away from something like that, to be honest. At that. I think you'd have to have a atheist society. A worldwide atheism, pretty much, before that would work, because religion will get in the way of everything, pretty much. Everything that globalism wants to do, I guess. Like, unite all the people of the world. Religion is quite a divider, in my view. Let's see. NATO was in existence. NATO was formed after World War III, and its first big fight was against the Volgan Union. The young organization did well enough, but the U.S. Army ended up carrying most of the fight. They were just about the only nation after World War III that wasn't terribly exhausted. The Volgan Union was quite exhausted too. But its leaders thought it could overcome that exhaustion and bring all of Europe under their command. Something they failed at. The Jade succeeded wildly where they failed. Failed at, what does it suggest? Something they failed. So Word thinks that I should just say something they failed. That really sounds better than something they failed at. Seceded wildly. This was definitely the most boring writing session I've ever written. The only thing more boring would be if you were discussing people at dinner, I think. And there's enough novels doing that, so I want to write new stuff. I want to break new ground. Let's see. Yes, Europe should be united in security, or it will fall to pieces one by one. One by one. Bentley noted. Fall to equilindism, most likely. Bentley suddenly looked like he had a great weight on his shoulders. I don't suppose Bentley was already thinking of the next great conflict. The one with the Vulgans. Once the Jade were settled or finished. Alan briefly thought of the great game that was conducted between the Chromish and Russian empires for dominance over many parts of the world. While that had been, hope that weary men like Bentley would be able to play that game again. Then it would to lose to the Vulgans, lose influence to the Vulgans. Vulgans would be a terrible thing. It would be play that game again. Let's see. That was connected for the great game of 100. Or the great game back in the age of imperialism. Cold War. Great game back. A war of influence. Great game back in Asia. A Cold War. A political war. Cold War. A Cold War. Yeah, I think that's the right term. For dominion over many parts of the world. It was a war that Chromia mostly won. Play that game again. That way mentally be able to play that game again. If Chromia lost, large parts of the world, the known world, would fall to equilindism. Let's see. Cold War between the Chromish and Russian empires were dominance over many parts of the world. It was a war that Chromia mostly won. Okay, folks, 24 minutes in. Let's see you later. Have a nice day.